Hello everyone, it's Diane, and today I am going to show you how I make hat boxes or just any kind of decorative box. I had a few requests for this video. It's a simple one, and there actually are a few different ways for you to make a box. Mostly round is what I'm going to be doing today. I do both boxes that are permanently open. This does not close in order for you to see what's inside the box. And I also do regular standard hat boxes with a top and a bottom that will fit a hat. This is just one example of what I've done. And so we'll go over the basics of how to size them and what you can put in them. There are two different ways to make these boxes. Basically, you would do two different sizes. You would figure out what size you want your finished box to be, and that would be about the size. It helps to get one of these circle templates. I've had them for years and they make things a lot easier, but I'll show you a way to do it without using the circle template. And then I would take this template and I would go up a few sizes so that you have the size of your tabs. Make another circle, and then you would just cut out, go along and snip triangles out of the second circle, so that you have everything that leads up into that you cut up into that circle. This is actually an embroidery floss needle that I covered with polymer clay to use as a handle. And I just use this as a stylus, as something that can compress into paper and make an impression. So on this particular one, we would just go like that. And then you would just make your circle. And that makes, when you fold the tabs in, they are easier. So now I'm folding them all up. They automatically, because you've scored it, they automatically go up. Now, here is the problem with doing this technique. You see how you have all these sharp edges that you don't quite have it as, it's not a smooth round circle. The way you can fix that is if you have much smaller tabs, or you can do the next technique that I'm going to show you how to do. This box was made with fabric covering a manila folder. This is a really flexible, thin manila folder. You can get them in different weights, but there are other options of paper that you can use. There are all kinds of scrapbooking paper. This one's heavy, and this one's light, and I mean that by the weight of the paper. When you choose a paper that you're going to use, you have to know that there are two different wefts on the paper. Not all paper folds or curls in the same direction as the other direction. Now, if I was to fold this, you get a decent curve. You see this? It's bouncing. It's not allowing me to really get in there and fold it. But if you do it this side, look how easy that is. You have to pay attention to that, because that's how you're going to cut your paper. Your paper wants to always be cut along the curved part. So when you take a piece of paper, it's important, especially the thicker the paper is. The thinner the paper is, like say computer paper, you don't have to really worry so much. But when you get into anything that has a curve, you see how that folds like that? But when you fold it this way, look how easy it is. So it makes a big difference, and you need to pay attention to that in order for this to work. This technique that I'm going to show you uses a very thick top and a very thick bottom, specifically the bottom especially. What I do is I take illustration board and I cut it twice. I make one layer and then I make another layer and I glue them together, and I'll show you how I do that. And the reason I do that is so you can have a really stiff, thick bottom or top for your side pieces to hold on to. Now here is a smaller piece of the illustration board, and this is what I'm going to use to make my top piece and my bottom piece. So that's for this piece and this piece. There's a couple of ways that you can make the circle that is your top and your bottom. Remember, your bottom is smaller than your top so that the top fits over the bottom. So you always have to have this side slightly larger than this side. So the easy part is to use a template, as I said before. You could easily use a template, but you don't have to, and I'll show you how to do that. Find an object in your home that pill bottle is perfect. It's small though. This pill bottle size is actually 1 1/4. I happen to have this toothpick container that's empty now, and this one is 1 3/8. So this is an eighth of an inch. This is an eighth of an inch thicker, wider. So I always go with a larger size. Now I know that a small one like this is really cute, but if you're going to make a hat to go on the 1/12 scale doll, this is too small. A hat brim for a doll in that scale would be much wider. So that's why I made this larger size for this hat, because this hat is in scale, and anything, no hat would fit in this little one. This one's more, which is only, this is 1 1/8. So this would not fit in there. So what you're going to do is you're just going to trace it once, and then trace it twice, and then you're going to cut these out. Now you can cut illustration board or heavy cardboard with a scissor, but it's hard. Now I'm going to cut one with the regular scissor because this is what I imagine most of you have. And you're going to cut along the line. Scissors going down while you turn the circle. Okay, it's a fairly decent job. I did a little crushing here, and you do have that problem with the larger one. There are little pieces that need to be cleaned up. You can actually sand it. You can take a emery board and sand it to smooth down the edges. Now, the other way is to use the X-Acto knife. Takes a lot longer. It requires precision, but if you go slow. Now this one, instead of like with the scissor, in this one, what you're moving is actually the X-Acto knife. You just put it on the pencil line and pull towards you. Pull towards you. You're only doing a light scoring. You don't want to try to get it all in one go or even 2 goes. You might have to do it a couple of times. Now just keep going. Okay, check the other side. Nope, didn't go all the way through. So you would just keep going with that until you get it through. Oops. Be careful that you don't skip off the line. Okay. All right, so now that you have the two, say you've already sanded them down, I would glue these two together. Again, the reason that I'm doing this is so that you have nice thick edge for this to glue onto. If you didn't have that edge, if you didn't have it nice and thick, it's not going to stay together. You would have to go back to using the tabs. And then you would glue this around the tabs. But because I don't like the way that works out, I've decided that this is how I do it now. So let's put a little bit of glue. Give it a few minutes to let that set. Now, this piece is the size of this, or it should be at least. And then the next step is what you're going to do is you're going to use this to make everything straight and lined up, just like that. That's what the purpose of this container is to line everything up. I want the inside, you're going to do one side of this for the inside and one side of this of the inside, and then you're going to do the outside. So what do I want to use, this for the outside or this for the outside? It all depends on what you want to do. Actually, these two go together, so let's try that. This is a completely different look. So I'm going to do the outside of the box actually in the fabric and do the inside in the paper. So let's first glue down. Now we determine which way this folds better, correct? So it folds better this way. So when it has to wrap around here, it wraps really nice. So that means that we have to measure across this way in length. So I made this particular piece. This is our base piece. This is 3/4, 7/8 of an inch. So I am going to glue this down to the edge of here because, again, that's the direction that we're going. A lot of times I use my fingers. You've seen me do that in videos, but today I don't feel like getting glue all over my hands, so let's just do it this way. I'm going to lay this down along the edge. Now I'm going to cut it with an X-Acto knife, and I'm going to use a triangle because my metal ruler, this is an architect's ruler. Sometimes it's it slides very easily, so this works much better. Okay. This is your interior. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to glue this down, face down, the manila side, the envelope side, face down here. and glue it down the same way. Now we're going to work on the bottom disc. You have a choice of what you want to put on the bottom. It really doesn't matter, but your interior does matter. So your interior is going to be showing here. So we're going to glue I'm going to glue that right down there. Okay, after this dries, you're just going to follow along the sides with the X-Acto knife. Now, again, this is the interior. This is the interior. So this is your outside side. This is your bottom. So the bottom can be almost anything that you want it to be. We could actually leave it the way it is. But if you wanted to, we could make it this color. So let's glue that down. When it's dry, we're going to cut it out like we did the interior. This, remember, is the bottom exterior. Because I don't like things to fray, I take a little bit of Mod Podge. You can take watered down glue. That's fine too. And I take a small brush. Now, this is a hardened brush because it's what I use all the time for this. So what we're doing is we're sealing the edge of the fabric so that when we cut it out, it's not going to fray. Now, the top has to be slightly larger so that this is the top, this is the bottom. This has to be slightly larger so it fits over this without, and still be able to have a halfway decent fit, but not so tight that you can't get it on or off. We're going to take our bottom base. We're going to trace it. And then we're going to measure out 1/16 of an inch here and 1/16 of an inch here. You could even go even smaller. And you could either try to connect the dots, or if you're worried about a smooth round, just continue doing that all the way around. So basically, this is what you're doing. If you're not able to eye it like I'm doing right now, then yes, you would just go all the way around and measure the 1/16 of an inch. What I'm going to do for you is I'm going to put a link in the description, and you will have the exact sizes for your top and your bottom for this exact project that we're doing. I will make a template for you, so if you just want to do it that once and you have that just that one size, you'll have it on hand. If not, then you'll know how to do this if you ever want to change the size. You can obviously you can upsize and downsize the template that I'm going to have in the description once you download it. You can do that on your computer. Once again, you can do it this way, or you can do it this way. Okay, I went ahead off camera and I did exactly to the top half of the box that I did to the bottom half of the box. And now the bottom half, or your base side, is ready to be cut. Now we have this nice and sealed. You can do it with an X-Acto knife, but you have to be real careful that the knife doesn't skip. But either way, you're going along the edge anyway, so scissors still helps. A scissor still works. Okay, that's your side. That's your top, interior, bottom. And now we have to cut out. This is your side for the bottom. This is your side for the top. Now this is going to overlap like this, so that's why I made this only 1/4 of an inch, whereas this is, got already 3/4 of an inch. So you're going to have 1/2 an inch to show. So all the measurements for the side length and the 2 sizes of the top and bottom are going to be in the description below and on the download. Now, if you don't have a perfect circle, that's fine. I'm going to show you how to disguise your non-perfect circle with trim. So now this is your outside of the bottom. This is your top. That goes here. This is your bottom. And this is what you're going to do here. Now we're just measuring it right now. I want the 2 sides meeting to butt up against each other. I don't want an overlap because the overlap won't look right. It won't look in like it is in full scale. So where these 2 meet right here is where I'm going to draw a line. Take a pencil, draw a line. Now I drew the line and it's right there. Now I would not draw right on that. I would not cut right on that line because you never know when it's going to be slightly off once you are wrapping it around this. So I'm going to cut it slightly larger. I would say another 1/16 of an inch. You can always cut more off. You can add. So keep that in mind as you cut. Now, this is your bottom. This is your interior. So you're going to face the interior down. You're going to have your interior facing in. And there we go. And that's what you're using to fit it. As you can see, you have this thick piece, and that's what you're going to be gluing your side to. And we're dry fitting again. And it is still slightly larger. So I'm going to trim 1/32 off. Take your time, don't rush this, because it will make all the difference. Because if you cut too much off, then you're gonna have a gap. You're going to put glue along here, a light layer, and then I'm also going to put a layer of glue along here, a light layer. And somewhere in between there, they're going to meet. Okay, I'm going to put a little along the sides, thin layer, don't go too crazy. Okay, we're going to face down the interior, put it down, let it sit. Now, the side, it doesn't matter which, you are going to glue to that, put another light layer just to be sure that they meet everywhere. Okay. Make sure your fingers stay clean. Don't touch the fabric. Make sure that you're not getting glue on your fingers. Now, you're going to hold this in place. Fill any of the gaps that you see. You see gaps here, here. You just start pushing it against the bottom. If you have to add more glue, because this started to dry up as I was cutting, do that. Put a little glue on the sides here. So where they meet, they'll stick together. We can shore that up later. And just hold it all together. Press that all together. And hold it. It might take a few minutes. Just be patient. Everything about getting a clean finish is patience. Pull it off and continue to hold it. We're at doing the top. Now the top is bigger than this. So you're going to have to do it by eye, because you can't use this because it's bigger, as you can see. Here's your dry fit. Let's mark off the point where they meet, which is right here. I'm going to cut a little bit bigger. And then do exactly what we did before, but we're not going to have this to work with. Okay, well, I forgot about the part where everything, I'm working on this cardboard piece, that everything's going to glue itself down to the cardboard piece. So let's touch up the glue. I put a piece of wax paper down so that doesn't happen. Okay, I'm actually going to put a little on the edges so that when they meet, make sure your fingers are clean. I have a little bit of glue on them, but for the most part, they're clean. Okay, I'm gonna wrap this around and try to make the side as vertical as you possibly can. You don't want to. Now we have the sides matching. A little too long. Like with the bottom, there's a little bit too much. I'm going to trim that. And there we go. Let's hold it together. With clean hands. If it slips, you are filling in the gaps. Oops, see, it slips. Okay. Anytime you see something that's not sticking, just add a little more glue. Just going to hold that for a few seconds. Since this is cardboard and paper and fabric, it can warp. So just keep giving it, trying to make it as round as possible visually. Let's talk about options. This is from the Dollar Tree. This is crochet fabric. Really pretty. I actually have quite a bit of this. You can cut it so that it goes to the bottom third. If you used it at full size, you might be able to fit the cover on, but you might not. And as you see, it's covering up the seam. But I want to cover the top part of the seam too. So I am going to take a piece of fabric. What we have here is the stiffened fabric that we used earlier to go around the top and the bottom, or go around the sides when we were sealing it. And I'm going to take a small snippet. See that? And we're just going to add that over this. And we're going to cover the seam. And we're going to do the same thing with right here. Now we have to think about what trim we're going to use for these pieces in order to cover the raw edges and to decorate it. Now we have this trim from the Dollar Tree. It's really pretty. It's very basic. It would look great as long as you keep this 1/4 inch free so that the top can go on. We could probably cut it and just cut it down to there. And the same thing with the top. We can perhaps have it hanging down a bit, just like that. Cut this away also. So I'm going to go ahead and take a scissor and cut all this part away. First things first, seal your edges. So I think where I'm going to cut is right here. Cut it. So your edges are sealed. Now what we want to do is cut this. Let's see if we even need to cut it. Would this top still go on? Yes, actually it does still go on. But we would have to make sure that we have this really tight. So we're going to take glue. That's going to take too long. We're going to do this with the brush. Once again, we're back at the seam. And we're going to add this with the bottom just above the very bottom. Bottom of the lace just above the very bottom of the bottom half. Okay, let's press that down. You can do this with any kind of lace, any kind of trim, any kind of ribbon, whatever you prefer. Now, I'm going to cut this to the edge of the beginning of the lace. There we go. Try to meld them together with the glue. Okay. Just dry testing. Does this fit? Yes, it does. Great. So now I'm just going to start cutting, trimming this. Just as you did with the bottom, now you're going to add the lace to the top. Okay, the sealed edge is here. So we're going to put it along here. Now we are going to take some trim and put it over this area in order to clean that up. Same thing with the top of the box. So let's start with the top of the box. Again, I found these craft string, they're calling it. It's basically the same as embroidery floss, maybe a little bit thinner. And they're all different colors. So I would not use white because the lace that we put on here is off-white. Yellow is a possibility, but that's a little bright. Purple, no. I'm thinking maybe the blue. The green is a different green. So I'm going to go with the blue. Once again, find your seam. Going to put glue all along the edge. A light bead of glue. I'm just going to put a small area and basically run that along the edge. Just run it along just like that. And then it ends at the seam once again. I'm going to actually cut that right at the seam with an X-Acto knife. I'm just going to snip that right through. Okay. Now sometimes the ends are frayed and they need to be sealed. And you can do that. Add some glue, roll these two ends together. And there you go. That's your edge. Sometimes the fibers separate. Again, just add some glue. And there you go. You want to do that along the edge, you can do it. Okay. There you go. You're all nice and sealed. Run your fingers along just to keep it on the right along the edge. And that's your bottom. Let's do the top. I'm going to actually seal the tops of this. I'm sealing the top of the lace because it is a crochet lace, so it has a lot of raw edges. We created the raw edge and that needs to be sealed. Find the seam. There it is. Try to keep this neat along the edge. Very lightly shape it, tap it. Trying to keep it circular. And then we're going to meet at the edge. Okay, and there you have it. There you have your top, your bottom. They fit together. You can do anything you want with this now. You can put something in the middle here. You can put something decorative, anything you want. A big bow, a bunch of flowers, roses, an image, just a picture that you really like. I could pop into here. You could cover it with lace. We could have done that. Could have run some down the middle, down here, and then another down here. There's so many things you could have done. So that's the basics. How you decorate it or continue to decorate it or what you put in your box is up to you. I hope you enjoyed this video and I hope the technique is helpful. I know that this technique is a little bit different than how most people do it, but it is how I've been doing it for years. So I hope you try it, and if you have any questions when you do try it for me, just let me know. DM me or message me on Facebook or on Instagram, and all my socials are in the description below. So I hope, like I said, I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you can give it a like and leave a comment, I would appreciate that very much, and I hope to see you next time. Talk to you later. Bye.